Welcome to a new VR Celebrity Spotlight on the Full Dive Gaming Podcast. And this week we are sitting down with the legend, the man, Gamertag VR, a true VR OG. Thanks for joining us.
That's okay. I didn't know it was a celebrity spotlight.
I started titling him that because I like the reaction it gets from people. But
I was like, who's the celebrity? But yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it, and good to speak to you and see you all. So yeah.
Well, we're super excited to have you here. While we're saying thanks, though, we got to thank our sponsor, Asterion Products. You probably know them. They make VR quality mats. They make mugs and merch. They still make their stands, although they're getting harder and harder to get their light up stands these days. But yeah, go there, check them out. Code Full Dive will save you some money. I don't remember how much these days.
$5?
$5 or a percentage if it's on Amazon. It's complicated, but just go check them out. GT. It's unlikely that many of our listeners are not familiar with your channel, but would you give us some quick history, who you are, what started, why you're in the VR space? Just tell us about yourself.
So I basically was I'll just tell you, I got started. It was the main thing that made me go full-time, or not full-time, but the main thing that made me want to do it more was just reviewing games. IGN incorrectly reviewed Doom VFR, so the community all got together. We basically messaged the editor of IGN to get the review changed, and it actually worked. But the main reason was, while I was streaming, I'd actually gone into the options, enabled smooth turning, enabled all the things that we all do, but the person who did the review didn't. So all these people have seen this review. IGN have slammed it and said, like, well, they said it was quite a good game, but the controls were awful. You've only got snap turn, blah, 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 and teleport. So I'm streaming it to my normal 8 people at night, just sitting on the couch with my wife, and then suddenly we hit like 100, 200, 300, and on the old PSVR you used to get comments come up in the headset, and they would flash up for like, I don't know, 5 seconds, which meant if there was a lot of people talking, you could get a massive delay. But and my wife was like, there is so many people watching you, why is this happening? And it was basically because they were like, how are you playing this game the way you're playing it? Because IGN said you couldn't. And that was it, really. I thought, oh, wow. So there is actually a lot of people who love VR, because like most of you, I guess you start a VR channel because you just want to talk about it. You want to meet other people who do it, because in real life, there's just not that many people who seem to have a VR headset, So the internet and YouTube is a fantastic way of reaching other people. And then 2 years ago, I got a job with a developer, basically promised me everything and then ditched me 6 months later. So I found myself jobless. And then, yeah, I went full tilt, I was like, right, let's do it, and that's it, man. That's it. I think that's all of it.
And you made it. And for those who are listening and not seeing the video here, you are a true gamer too. Like I think I see, is that an original NES box in the background?
Yeah. So my actual favorite one is the I got a Japanese Sega Saturn at the top, and the reason I wanted the different Saturn was because I think US and Japan had a different startup sequence. That's it. It's just a different sound. It's nothing really, but the geek in me, and they come in a really cool grey. So yeah, that was it really. That's that. I guess the Nintendo was not a little bit before my time, but it was around when I was like 8 or 6. But the Super Nintendo was the one for me that really just wowed me so much. And yeah, I love retro. I love MUVR. I think that's a fantastic bit of software that just brings everything back. So yeah, I love gaming. I do. As soon as I finish recording any VR, I'm literally downstairs playing more games. I just don't stop really. I love video games. Yeah. Same as all of you, I guess.
So your story about getting started with VR content creation makes sense, because if anyone asks me like where to go for VR game reviews, I tell them GT.
Wow.
If anyone asks me about the accessories, I tell them JayBratt.
Yeah,
and
that makes
sense. Kind of cool. You guys are in the same space right now.
Yeah. And JayBratt's awesome, dude. Like, I don't know how many hugs we've had. Like, it was weird when I met Jay. There's certain people you just meet and you just know, like, everything's sound. Like, like the person you're meeting is legit. And I think that's safe to say, Jay, isn't it? It's like we'd met before almost, kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah.
Romantic.
You bought me a pretzel on the ride back from Alcatraz. We were all freezing, huddling. The guy who got us our boat didn't think about the fact it was like 30 degrees on the water and windy as hell. And
yep. I don't remember the pretzel, but was it good?
It was great. It was one of the best pretzels. You bought it for me.
Oh man, thank you.
Assassin has one question he loves to ask people before we get into the subject matter here. What is that, buddy?
So this is my favorite. This one, everyone's got a great story about the very first time they put on a VR headset. So what was that like for you?
Oh, dude. And I want to hear yours as well. Like, I'd love to. I know we've got subjects, but I'd love to hear your takes on this as well. Because
we should all do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely all do it. It's one of the best things. I was very so back when PlayStation used to actually be proud of having a VR headset. They in 2016 they did an event 6 months before the launch of PSVR, and obviously I'm a mad gamer and I had PlayStation, and I remember thinking, wow, because PlayStation did iToy. I've always loved all that stuff, even though admittedly a lot of the stuff you'd buy like that, you don't use it forever. It's just really cool for the moment, like Connect. So yeah, I went to this thing in London, and the second I got in a game, it was called Rigs, was my very first demo. And in that game, you start off and you have a body. So I did not know that he didn't have body tracking, right? So I'm trying to move my arms and my legs, and this guy's been standing dead still. And then next minute, this thing picked me up and put me in a machine, and I was just like this is the future. Like this is, I'm sure this is. I think having kids, getting married, working full time, like it sounds terrible. You lose time, but you lose that bit of excitement that you have, like that first time when I don't know, one of my oldest consoles was the Sega Master System, and I used to love just having the boxes, reading the booklets on the way home from picking a game up. Like I was mad for video games, and it was kind of slowing down that passion, like there was certain things I loved, but there was a good 2 years where I kind of thought, oh, this is what happens. This is why my dad doesn't play VR, like games. People just don't play games when they get older. And then when I tried VR, I was like, this is the future. Like this is now. I couldn't believe I was alive to experience it at the time. And yeah, that's pretty much the moment. And also, I just want to add, they had Move controllers there, which were very old peripherals from PS3.
Oh yeah.
And I thought PSVR was going to take over the world, right? So I went to like my nearest old accessory gaming store and picked 2 Move controllers up for like £5, which are I don't know in dollars, like I don't know, what's that, $8, $9 each?
$7-8.
But when PSVR then came out, they decided to make them full price again at like £50 each. So yeah, I honestly believe that
ahead of the game.
Yeah, I just believe, honestly, I still do believe that VR will one day be, in whatever way it's going to be, it'll be mixed reality, augmented reality. But I think VR's got its own special thing because it does take you somewhere else. Yeah, and I do believe it seems to take a long time, but I still think it will happen. That explosion will happen at some point. So yes, I would love to hear Assassin and Jay and NatBratt how you guys first tried VR.
Okay, so it's funny because I think we're going to have some similar stories in some ways, but I've been a gamer my entire life, and when I'm going to edit this, and when I put it on screen, I'll show you my first console. It was a Bally Astrocade. It had it's a console with wood paneling on the side. That's how old that thing is.
Did it have? Did the controllers have like turny?
Yeah,
my nan and granddad had one of them.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I didn't.
And I was 45 years old when I got this thing too, by the way.
Jeez, mate, you must be moisturizing 24/7. That is incredible.
No, I was a little kid, and yeah, it had like gun grip controllers with a gun trigger, and there was a knob on the top.
Yeah,
and you could move that in like directionally, but you could also twist it. So there was a lot of action that you could get on this game. But from there, and then it was like Nintendo Entertainment System. It was every console up until PS5. Actually, I've still not bought a PS5. I just kind of faded away from gaming 10 years ago. Wasn't really interested in anything. And then my adult son, he's 62 years old. He brought over his Valve Index, and I was playing this little game where you're just, it's like an archery game, and you're just shooting these little guys as they're marching towards you. And I lost my mind. I was like, I'm in it. This is like the Matrix. I'm in this game. I'm part of the game. And like you, I thought, this is going to explode. How come no one knows about this? This is like, how am I the only one that knows, you know? And from there, put on a Quest headset, and just the easy ability to do standalone gaming just drew me in. And I started a YouTube channel like 6 months later.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that is fantastic. What about you, Jay?
Why don't you go? Because I feel like I'm gonna just ramble on too long. So maybe your story will cover some of mine, but you go first.
Okay.
We could always make this a part 1 and part 2 if we go on too long. I have no problem with that.
I have to leave for a vineyard in an hour and a half, but if we can pull that, go, Nat, go.
Yeah, there's time. So I feel like you should tell the story first, because you're the one that
you gotta tell your story. What do you remember as your first time?
Okay, so first time in a VR headset was the Gear VR. That was it was like there was like the Google version of it, whatever, but it basically powered by a phone. And you like put it in this little thing. And it was actually pretty freaking good. It didn't have like,
I know what you're going to say, because I remember actually trying Google Cardboard, and everything worked by gaze. Like wherever you looked is how something happened. Yeah.
We eventually got a controller, but to start, you just looked at stuff. And I think, I don't remember like the very first thing, but I know they had like, intro things to VR. So they had like one where it's just like an experience, and you just are looking around, and you're like all of a sudden in like a boat looking around at this like village, and you're all of a sudden like surrounded by Cirque du Soleil people that are like right in front of your face. And it's like, what? Like Assassin was saying, like, you're there, you're in it. Like, it was amazing. And then we got some like games in it, and the game that really stuck with me, Land's End. Land's End was amazing. It's like kind of a puzzle game, and you're like, there's like, I mean, the graphics were not incredible, but it was such an amazing experience. You're like, you look where you want to go, and you're like floating in the space, and you're like looking at stuff and like moving it, like you feel like you have telekinesis. Like it was so amazing. And so we got the Gear VR before PlayStation VR came out. So we had that for a while, and when PSVR came out, it was like amazing. And I know people like to say it wasn't that great because like, oh, like the specs are not that great, blah blah blah. But it was so good.
Yeah.
And they did so much with what they had. Like you were saying, the Move controllers, the old Move controllers. Like,
it's
so early. It's so early here.
I don't know words.
It was amazing what they did with it. Like,
yeah, they did. Yeah, and I would argue actually some of those games, even on PSVR, were quite high budget, and they were, even though the specs of the headset was like 1080p. Everything was reprojected. It looked fantastic. The quality of the games looked great, So
yes. And Astrobot, everyone knows, is still my favorite VR game. So amazing. Yeah. And like you're saying, like your first video game experiences, like my first gaming console was Super Nintendo. And so like I just love, those platformers. And to see Astrobot, which is like, it's not a, would you call it a platformer? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But absolutely. I'd call it
it's like that Mario vibe. Like you're going through this world, you have levels, like there's all these, themed levels and amazing music. Like anyway, VR is amazing, and I'm really excited for our topic today.
Nice.
Well, I'll move quick through this. I think 2007, 2008, I was kind of in the same situation as GT. I was kind of falling off gaming. I was like, maybe I'm just aging out. Maybe I don't care anymore. And every once in a while, a game like a Grand Theft Auto would pull me back in.
That's it.
But then weirdly in like 2010 or so, I just want to say we got an iPad, and little things on that, Plants vs. Zombies, were kind of pulling me in. But I found this one game. It was kind of like Halo-esque. It was like a shooter, but the weird part was to turn and aim and look, you held the iPad out in front of you and you physically turned.
Oh,
It was
and it
freaking
felt
cool.
like you were holding a window into another world.
that's cool.
And I was like showing people this, and I was like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but someday when they figure out a way to do this that's going to work, where I'm not holding an iPad out in front of me, this is going to be it. And then I started seeing, I think Jacksepticeye was the first one I saw. He had like the DK1, which literally looked like an iPad was stuck to your face. It was so
He has little
humongous.
eyes on it.
And I was like, I watched him get the DK2 and then the Rift. And I was like, that was all so out of reach back then, though. A PC that could run it, the headset itself, it was so much money. But the PSVR was coming, and I went the first day you were allowed to pre-order it. I went to GameStop, I pre-ordered it. But then like I saw while I was at the mall there that AT&T was running a thing where if you get a new Samsung phone, they'd give you the Gear VR free. And I was like, oh, this thing's probably a piece of crap, but I'll just get one in the meantime just to play around until the PSVR comes in and sees what we see what it can do. And surprisingly, the Gear VR, because you're actually putting a high quality OLED phone screen inside of it with high resolution. Like if you got a gamepad and good headphones, we played so much co-op Minecraft on the Gear VRs back in the day before PSVR was even out. It was like,
so
how is this so possible? Just a phone. Then I couldn't wait for the PSVR, and then Farpoint and Astrobot, and then after that,
Beat Saber.
You know, obviously the Quest came out, and finally we had wireless PC or wireless VR. But it kind of takes us right into our subject today. Here's the question: we got wireless VR. Meta came in, they bought out Oculus. It was Facebook back then, and obviously all of us have been in VR for a very long time. When we hoped that it would get to the mainstream, it'd be huge. And so our question today is, has Meta helped get it there, or has Meta hindered it? Have they changed the landscape? What do we think is happening? Because I scoured the internet for some opinions, and there's a lot of them. But the reason we have you here, GT, is I want to hear your opinions. Because like us, you were a PSVR native. You even said just now, some of those games are still there. They still hold up. There's still bigger games maybe than we're even getting. How do you feel about Meta and the Quest?
I mean, I think Assassin nailed it on the head. There was a magic about thinking there was just one headset that did everything, like you didn't need an external console. You could technically take it anywhere. I remember when I was doing developer interviews and they leaked the Quest to me on a developer interview. And they were talking about this magical device that basically can make Guardians. Because on PSVR, I think everything was from the camera. That was how you knew if you was going outside a grid. And they were like, yeah, you can walk around your house and it just scans your rooms. And I'm thinking, this sounds like magic. Like, this doesn't sound real. And yeah, like to fast forward to what you was asking, I think what Meta did was turn a failed technology into a not failed technology, because it is a failed technology technically, because it's been tried before. And it nearly did get popular back with virtual reality, I think it's called. There was an arcade. You probably know this, Assassin. You probably remember the virtual reality headsets, the big headsets with the yellow band, they really went for it, and they in some ways they were a success. People were buying them. They would have been in loads of American arcades and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think there was like 40 degrees field of view, 20 FPS, it just wasn't there. And what Palmer Luckey did, he reversed the idea. He I don't know if you've ever really studied what he did for how he got into Oculus, but to make it quite short, what he did was there was a lot of technology there, all about hardware, and he figured all the hardware was there, but it was the software that was lacking. And he basically made software that could make decent virtual reality look decent anyway in certain hardware. And Meta bought that 2 years later for something like, I don't know, 10 billion. I could be wrong. It's a stupid amount of money. And with the Quest, I completely see what they did, because they're the only ones really that have made it successful in the terms of getting so many headsets, people buying so many headsets. And that is the only real way that you can sell VR, is by trying it. But I know what we're going to get to. We're going to get to the director now with Horizon and, all the free-to-play games. I made a video last week about like the tipping point of VR. And I see a worrying wave of free to play child games being very popular, and it's because Meta are serving their analytics. They see the analytics that these kids are spending more time in these games than adults. They might be free or they might be cheap games, but there's plenty of DLC. There's plenty of money being made. I don't know how much Gorilla Tag's made, but it's made a lot of money. Animal Company's probably heading that way, or might have surpassed them by now. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's what people are buying quests for, and that's why I do worry about what's going to happen. Not necessarily this year. I think this year, because a lot of games take 2 years to develop, I think this year's going to be fine. But I think next year, unless Valve Decade happens, and we see a big uprising of people wanting, again, they get a Decade, so they've probably already got a PC, so they're using PC VR more, and you get some higher end experiences. If I don't, at the moment, I don't think Meta are killing it, but I don't think they're going the direction that I think the core audience, the adult audience wanted. The people who really pushed this tech and invested in it all those years ago to get it where it is today, they're not the people they're serving anymore. So yeah, that's. I don't think they're killing it. I think they're the only people who have. I hate to say it. I know PSVR is doing great. Is it though? I don't know. Like a lot of developers I speak to, they really struggle with making money on PSVR 2, but they love the system. That's why every game is nearly always on a quest, all the time, and that then holds back normally the graphics that we want to see. But then you get games like Batman, and you're suddenly like, oh, this is possible. Ghost Town, oh, this is possible. You see some fantastic games. So yeah, I personally think that the direction Meta's going won't pay off for them in the long run. And I think next year they'll have to make a bit of a U-turn, we've probably got Quest 4 coming, probably got eye tracking, hopefully. So yeah, I don't think they kill. I think they're the only people who made it successful, but yeah, I don't agree with what they're doing now. That's how I feel about it.
I think one of the general frustrations I have is both Sony and Meta have the ability to be the ones that save VR and bring it to the mainstream, and neither one is doing it in different ways. I've still never seen an advertisement for a PSVR 2. I've not seen one advertisement for that thing. And then,
do you mean like on TV or on? Like,
yeah, if I'm surfing the internet or get an ad somewhere.
What I worry about is that PSVR did all that. I remember seeing Skyrim in the cinema for PSVR. I remember seeing that stuff, and I think maybe they think to themselves, "We've done all this." Technically, Oculus paid a lot of money for a lot of high-end games on PCVR, and that didn't take off. So yeah.
And then Meta, honestly, we all agree, everyone knows, stop the Horizon stuff. You're shoving it down our faces. Sometimes when I put on a Quest, I don't know if I'm going into Meta Horizon or in a game. And it's not just the name, which, by the way, the names are getting worse and worse and worse. I fully expect in the next few months, we're going to find out that they're calling it the Vomit VR, like come up with the worst name you possibly can. But it's not just that. People want the headsets for gaming, and time again, even their own employees don't go into Horizon as often as Meta wants them to. It's there, and it makes sense to have it, but stop pushing it so hard and lean into the things that people do want.
Yeah, I mean, the Horizon isn't. It'd be different if Horizon was actually really good. That's what we're talking about. I'm assuming none of you go into Horizon and go, "This is fantastic. I absolutely love it." Now, don't get me wrong. There is that really cool social aspect to VR chat, Rec Room, and this. I love all that, but there's also a point where you don't want to do that. You want to play games, and I just don't feel everything I've tried in Horizon. I don't know. It just feels not very good in general. There's a couple of things that shine. Is it Rumble? There's something called Rumble, like a first-person shooter.
Once they finally added guns, that was the thing for a while. They didn't do.
Yeah, that was a good game. Super Rumble, I think it was. I even felt like making content for that. I made some shorts. I really enjoyed it. There's another kaiju game. It's pretty cool because you can play it on your mobile against people in VR. that's pretty cool. But that's where it ends for me. I don't. It's kind of like they want people to not. They want developers, and that's what was happening. Real games were getting hidden, and it was like they wanted people to go into Horizon and play those games. That's what they want. That's what it felt like they wanted, and I didn't want that.
Well, and it's so funny too, because this is why I feel like I understand, like, whatever, Meta was good for the VR industry, blah, 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 getting headsets into people's homes, whatever. But, like, they make it suck. Like, VR chat was already a thing. Rec Room was already a thing. They were great. And they're like, ooh, that's cool. People like that. Let's make a crappy version of it.
Yeah.
Let's buy everything and make it suck. Like, I feel like that is what they've done. And it makes me sad. And I don't want my VR headset to just be a freaking phone where I have to go, like, spend time in Horizon so they can get my freaking data and make money.
Yeah. Jay's got a huge smile on his face.
That's my
right
hot take.
I don't even know if that's even a hot take. I mean, you've been in it for years and you've seen it, but I had kind of a weird thing happen this last week. I was on Instagram and I saw Arvor Immersive, the developers. I don't know if they're a developer or publisher. GT, you probably know, but they're associated with Clawball, Pixel Ripped, and they had this announcement, we're making this horror thing with Blumhouse and blah, blah, blah. It looked like it was based on Megan or something. And I commented, I was like, please tell me this is a real game and not just something in Horizon Worlds. And they respond back and they're like, it is in Horizon Worlds, but it's really good. You should still try it. And then, like, hours later, I went back to look because I was like, I wonder how this post is doing. I wonder if anyone has commented what they're thinking. They had deleted the post and then reposted it again. Same post. And I was like, that can't be just because of that comment that I made, can it? I don't know. Maybe people started liking the comment, started responding to it, and they just didn't want that snowball effect to happen. And I was so tempted to repost the same comment again.
More importantly, did you try it?
No, I don't. I think it was just announcing it. I don't think it's actually out yet.
Right. Yeah.
They were, but they did say you should try it. So
like, maybe it's good.
Maybe it's out.
Well, maybe I'm thinking maybe it's because they're trying to win that 50 million. Is it 50 million the prize for this?
They put 50 million into Horizon. I don't think it goes to one person.
No. There's a prize, isn't there, for the best app or something? There's like
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, there's a thing for, that's why loads of people are trying to make games in there, and they're trying to evolve their editing for you to make games in there. There is a prize.
A $1 million prize pool for creators building innovative mobile experiences.
Yes.
There's a bunch of prizes, though, yeah.
So if you imagine someone like Arvor, who have already made real games, going in there and using real developers, not just, because a lot of the stuff in there, like Spin the Bottle Room, which is... Dude, I've never been in there, but apparently it's very... I don't know. It's very popular. It's one of the most popular rooms on there, made by a guy who's never made anything. And these guys make thousands of dollars a month. Thousands. They've gone from just, I'm not earning any money, to earning lots of money. And now
you spin the bottle. Wow.
Yeah, because it's all about how popular your game is. And
not about how good it is. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, probably you could be right. Like, I mean, these guys who have made, I guess, we've all know about bands that have one-hit wonders. Some of these developers might have made that, who made Spin the Bottle, is probably thinking that was just luck. It was just luck, and maybe I can't replicate that again. So I'm imagining that Arvor are thinking, if we do this will make more money than any game we've ever made. Possibly, I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking is what you're talking about. Because
bam, Meta gets their way, and everyone goes into stupid Horizon, and that's like the ecosystem.
The thing is, it's hard to remember like the paradigm shift or the perspective that you need on this stuff, because we all see it our way, and all the communications we have are from an audience that is for us. We've created that audience, and that's why when someone makes a video and they feel like they're in an echo chamber, you are in an echo chamber, because people who watch you resonate with what you're saying. So we might feel and think this way, but there might be a whole other perspective that we don't understand.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of other perspectives, but I like my perspective.
so my perspective,
I like to listen to other perspectives too.
My perspective on the money issue with Meta is they have put billions in I mean, with a B, they've put billions into Meta Horizon Worlds, and people don't want it. So take that same amount of money, take those same billions and keep putting it into game development, and you might really be able to take off. But they've taken money out of game development, where they were subsidizing some studios, and they're still pumping money into Meta Horizon Worlds. It's almost like a one-track mind scenario where they need to stop and take a realistic look and look around. Maybe I was just going to say, maybe the people that are really into it, the people that have put their life into VR, the content creators that have quit their jobs and are doing this for a living, talk to them, give them poll them and find out what they think needs to survive. VR needs to survive, and they will have the answer. It'll be there.
I think you got a really good point, and it's something I tweeted out. And basically, Meta are seeing all these analytics of, like, I don't know, say 50% of the users now are young. And then you've got the 30%, which are us, and whatever's after that, the people who sit there watching movies in a headset. So, like, if they then go, right, this is where we're going to put all our money, you're then not giving the other side of it a chance. So you're absolutely right. Like, they're actually going, well, let's go full tilt this way. And yeah, so I don't think it's going to work. Personally, I don't. Do you think it's going to work? Do you think this whole approach is the way VR is going to be in the future? I mean,
no.
I think there's a couple things that I try to keep in perspective that help remind me, because you even said earlier, like, as a band, there's these one-hit wonders and stuff. Like, as content creators, ask yourself, what video am I most proud of, and what video blew up, made me the most money, earned me the most subscribers, blah, blah, blah. I feel like a lot of times in life, that's probably true. I want to ask people in the music industry, actually, was your hit the song you were actually proud of, or was that some garbage you made in a single day when you were in
Yeah, I would absolutely say you're 100% right with that, because if you think about Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby, that was a B track. That was a B-side track on a record, and a DJ played it, I think, by accident. And then everyone was like, oh, that's really good. And they kept asking for it, and that's how it blew up. So if that never happened, I believe that's the story. If that never happened, that song might have never been what it had been. And I think his name's Rip Van Winkle. Will we even know who he is? Will we even know about Vanilla Ice? Will we? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know.
But if
down the line, if I put hours and hours into planning a video, it will tank. And my best video to date, I came upstairs and went to record and had a different idea, hit record on it, and it's the best one I've done by far.
What was it?
So best as in most views, or best as in
everything?
Best quality?
Not the best quality. My best quality, my favorite one, it really hasn't done very well at all. But yeah, most views, most subscribers, most watch hours, all of it is a video that literally I was about to press record and changed my mind at the last second on what I was going to do.
Which video? GTS.
Oh, it's so funny. It's been a little while, so I forgot.
You can't even remember. That's what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
it's the spring game sales. I remember.
Didn't even really care about.
Jay remembers it.
It was the spring game sales video. He covered what games were on sale. At the right time, the iron was hot. He struck, and boom, the video took off.
And I think I launched that like 3 days left in the sale, and didn't think I'd have time, but it did really great. And that's probably why I forgot about it, because it wasn't something I was really passionate about.
Yeah.
But where this all goes back to Meta is, you're right. It's like they won by accident almost. When they really exploded, they had the pandemic, they had the Quest 2 launch.
Good point.
They had all of these things that came together that made VR kind of mini explode.
Yeah.
And then the things that they've been very intentional about have failed, and people don't want those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to know, isn't it? Because we don't know the numbers. We don't. I'm assuming that there must be some astronomical numbers for them to spend this money, or they're just spending this money hoping those numbers happen. So
I kind of feel like that. We have.
So do I. So for the record, so do I. So I'm with you.
But realistically, Zuckerberg can wake up in the morning and say, "I want to call it this today," and he has the ability to do that. He's a single guy that can make or break VR. It's just he's got to have the right feedback, maybe. You know, I'm not sure in the corporation exactly how it works. I'm hoping that they're open enough to where they can take ideas from multiple people, but he does have the ability to just say, Quest 4 is happening in 6 months. Get it done.
When someone's that famous, he is famous now, you know, in his own right, and he's obviously rich. I'd imagine you only employ people that agree with you. You know, I don't think you want to be paying someone an amazing wage just for them to go, "You're absolutely wrong" all the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things, you know, that's yes men. You know, I do worry. Does he have all those people that just, or his employees, because they're worried they're going to lose their jobs, so they agree and they do what he wants. And I don't know. I could be completely wrong. You know, I'm not sure, but I do believe. One thing I do believe is that he believes in virtual reality. I do believe that. I just think he's still trying to figure out how to make it blow up. You know?
Yeah.
So, and maybe he believes that this generation he's investing in are going to love VR like I love my retro. And in 5 years' time, they're all going to be adults, and they're going to be going, "Well, where's the games, dude? Like, I want to play Gears of War 7 in VR. Where is it? I don't know." You know, that's. Yeah,
I fear that what you said, GT, there may be true. We don't know the inner workings at the top, and honestly, we could probably get some crap for even discussing this. But every time I meet with somebody from Meta, it's like everything is perfect there. Like, if I was to say, do you guys think VR is going to fail this year? They'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, no one seems to see outside of what project they're working on, what they're doing, and they're so proud of it. And it's like that time we went to the store, and it was you, me, and Wolf that all kind of got in trouble for bringing up stuff that they didn't want brought up in that meeting.
It's so funny.
You remember, GT? You brought up the PSVR. Ruth Bram was the one. You brought up the PSVR.
Oh my god, yes. Oh mate, yeah, tell it.
I even have a video from the podcast of, because they recorded that whole interview. I wonder if they regret that. But she
you weren't allowed to post it though, were you? I don't think.
Oh, I posted it. Well, it's posted.
It's up, yeah.
It's posted, yeah.
What, with Ruth Bram?
Yeah.
My question?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know personally, but the part where she got mad at me, she you rolled your eyes at me, that's on there, and her going after Wolf about something was on there, and it was just
she claimed that the game, the soundtrack, won a major award. I don't remember, an Emmy.
It did. She said the game Medal of Honor won an Emmy, which, yeah, games don't win Emmys. It was the documentary portion with the war heroes that won the Emmy, but she kept saying the game won the Emmy. But this whole meeting, it's every time we are on the horn with people from Meta, they're always everything's going so great, and this is it. And I'm sitting here guys,
you got to remember, Jay, I don't know what creators you've met, but the ones you see on social media, they're not there to question. That's the difference.
Yeah.
We have a conscience.
How dare you?
You know what I mean? We're not here to go, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? Do you want me to say how brilliant it is? I'll say it. We're not those people. So when I said to her, are you worried about PSVR 2? I think she swore, didn't she?
Yeah,
we don't give a shit about what PlayStation. Something.
Whoa!
And I was
Man.
I was like, I would argue you really care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to react. So, I mean, lovely lady.
Spicy.
Yeah.
So what they're missing is, universally, your best friend isn't the one that tells you what you want to hear. Your best friend is the one that tells you you've got a booger in your nose.
Yes.
Fix that shit. And it seems like they're just kind of in their own little echo chamber ecosystem where they're all saying, you look fabulous. Someone needs to say, you've got a booger in your nose.
Yes.
That's going to be a short, by the way.
Soundbite. Oh yeah, that is gold right there.
Yeah, I was just so pleased, dude, when we went to Gamescom that Batman was good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they were like, we've got a camera crew, we want to film your reactions, and I was thinking, I can't lie. I really hope this is good, and it actually completely blew me away, and I thought it was everything. I loved. It was brilliant. I love the Batman series. So that was fine. So yeah, that was good.
Well, and that kind of pulls us back to what PSVR actually did right with the first one. They completely abandoned the second one. Was they made the good first party games or they funded them, almost like you go way back to like Nintendo. Look at Nintendo now. Let's be honest. Nintendo would be dead if it wasn't for a few of their own IPs that are so good that we all go buy their systems just to play their IPs.
They're so much worse than all the other systems. Like the graphic quality is bad. Like everything is worse than the other major consoles, but the games are so good and we love them.
We want to play Smash Bros. We want to buy that. And that's where PSVR 1, Astrobot, Farpoint, Blood and Truth, a bunch of their developed games were the best ones on the system by far. They looked the best. They played the best. They had the longest stories in them. And Meta has kind of done this weird thing where they buy all the studios that made good games. But what happens after that?
Ready at Dawn is a really good subject on this if you ever want to look into it, like what they did to that studio in particular. And they were making another game as well, another VR game, and apparently it was good, and it was well into development, and they just not only killed the studio, they killed the game that they'd already put loads of money into already. So I don't think they are low on money.
No. It's funny because it feels like the game Monopoly. Like, it's kind of hilarious because it's like real life. I mean, there's a lot of monopolies going on where huge companies are just ridiculously huge and they just like buy everything. But it's exactly like that. They're like, ooh, I want this game studio. I want this game studio and this one and this one and this one. And then it's like, oh, I guess we've like, overreach. So
yeah, I guess they get to a certain point of a game's development and go, how much more do we need to spend? And what is the projected sales from this? And they just did that calculation, not necessarily knowing the outcome, but looking at historic outcomes and go, we might as well cut our losses. That's what I'm assuming.
On the positive side with all this, though, I keep thinking about if Meta didn't do it, if Facebook didn't do it, who was going to bridge the gap between PSVR 1 and PSVR 2? And Valve Index was in there, but not a lot of people have $2,500 for a computer and another $1,500 for the headset. So they did bridge the gap that kept VR on life support. It's just, are they going to keep it on life support? Or is it going to take off? Because that can still happen.
Yeah.
I feel like they're tanking VR because they're making it more and more like, I mean, with some exceptions, but more and more like mobile games. Like there's some good mobile games, like the classic kind of crappy mobile games that are just like time wasters, whatever. And it's just like getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But maybe some new headset will rise from the ashes and we'll get good stuff again. That's what I hope.
Yeah.
A question that comes up a lot is, did they make the Quest 2 too cheap? And GT, I'd love to know your opinion on it, because obviously people could reach it then, but could anyone compete and what happened? So was that the moment that they kind of took over the industry?
What, with affordability? Yeah, absolutely. And so much marketing. I mean, it was everywhere. And Assassin said it right. It was a brilliant recipe with lockdown, So I think they did what was right, but I think when they carried on that pricing forward, like I think Meta Quest 3 is apparently really popular. Like it's doing a great thing. And I think maybe they should have not done the Quest 3 and just done Quest 3S. Or I think the 2 as an option is just very confusing for people. They're not too sure what to buy. So they go for the cheaper option again. And I would argue Quest 3 is worth the extra money. Especially with the storage. You get more storage, better lenses. I just don't. When I got Meta Quest 3S, I could understand it, but even in my review, I was like, I still wouldn't say to go and buy one because I've had better. So it's very hard to, recommend something when you personally won't actually. I've never even. That thing just sits there since I reviewed it. I have not used it. Honestly, I've not used the Quest 3S at all. I don't know if you guys use it, but
well, if you have a Quest 3, why would you? Like literally, there's just no reason.
Yeah.
In the history of fads, when it comes to things that have really taken off, it is always the budget version that launches and goes nuts because, the rich kids can buy it. The poorer kids can still get a hold of it. But I don't want to date myself again, but when I was a kid, you know, Swatch watches were a big deal because they were $20.
Yeah.
And Chuck Taylor All-Star shoes just exploded. And the poor kids, everybody had a set. The poor kids had one and the rich kids had 8 pairs, but everybody owned those things. Dodge Neons in what the 90s were the cheapest cars, but there was a million of them rolling around. Meta's done a great job with keeping the price low and subsidizing the headset for us to keep those prices low. Keep it up. All I can say is keep it up.
Yeah, I think it's also sent a bit of a weird ripple effect to the community where if you mention something's over $500, even $500, they're like, oh, I don't know, dude. You know, it's a lot of money. And I can't help but think, how much does a Quest 3 cost? How much does it actually cost?
$499.
No, I mean, what does it cost to
make it?
You know, what is it to produce a Quest 3? I don't know. Or what was it actually 2 years ago? Because obviously tech gets cheaper. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know how much they lose per headset.
As the hardware got a little cheaper, now they might actually be making some money. And that's what allowed them to do to get rid of the 128 gig version and lower the price by $50 is now it was actually making a little bit.
That's what I thought was so funny. Meta Quest 3S launched, and then they brought the price of the Quest 3 down. and I was just like, this is crazy. You're actually making it even harder for me to recommend this headset. So, yeah, it was really weird.
I think what it all kind of sums up to in the question is, I'd love to hear everyone's opinions on this, is what would have happened to the VR industry if Meta never entered? And we know obviously what did happen. 20 million headsets have sold. A lot of them are sadly collecting dust, but everyone could reach one. In your opinion, GT, you had the PSVR, you loved it. You paid $500 for that. You already had a PS4 probably. So it wasn't quite such a high price point. If Meta had never stepped in, what would have happened over the last few years?
I don't even know if I can answer that, because the answer would actually be probably really bad. You know,
VR might have just disappeared, went back into the shadows for another 20 years.
Yeah, because I would say Meta Quest, I would say Oculus Quest 2 actually showed that people are interested in this tech, and that made other companies interested in the tech. And that's why Vision Pro exists today. And then you got Meta suddenly looking at what Vision Pro are doing and like, oh, we're going to do that with our headset now. And, you know, it's like, you know, wars are terrible, but they cause technological advancements. And I think that's what you see with companies. It's the same thing. You know, suddenly everyone's trying to get up on each other. And that's why I want Valve Decker to happen, you know, because suddenly there'll be another player and Meta will have envious eyes. If suddenly people are going, dude, I'm going to go and play Half-Life Alyx on a standalone device, suddenly they'll be thinking, well, what have we got? You know, what have we got? And yeah, just have to wait and see. I know Armature Studio are making something, and that's yet to be announced. But that's I don't really know of many other big games coming. And Civilization 7 was apparently one of their biggest games for this year. And I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about that, but that was a terrible launch, I thought.
It did not go well with the technical limitations. Assassin, I feel like you're kind of a perfect example for this question, because I feel like before the Quest was out, I counted up one time, and this was not, I didn't have a channel. This was just me personally. I had demoed the PSVR itself to over 100 people, friends of friends, family, anyone I could get to my house to try it. I got them there. I think 2 people bought one. When the Quest came out, I didn't even have to show it to people, and everyone I knew was buying one. And so, Assassin, you really entered the market with the Quest. What do you think? If Quest hadn't existed, what would have happened?
So I don't think we'd ever see a Pico headset. I don't think a lot of people would have jumped in. It's hard to start off at zero and jump right into a $4,000 investment for a PC VR setup. So I don't think that would have really happened. I kind of have a feeling it would have died a little bit, and not a little bit. I think it would have been dead. And then, but the competition it's brought, because they stayed in the market. That's why we have an Apple Vision Pro. Apple Vision Pro would have never happened without a Quest. I don't think PSVR 2 would have happened without a Quest, because I think that Sony has a little bit of competition in them, and they were like, we got to come out with another one. and we got to give this a shot. But yeah, I think it would have died. I feel like Meta not only shot VR in the chest, but they also did CPR.
What about you, JayBratt? What do you feel?
Nat, go. I saw your face light up. I feel like you're going to fight Assassin on this, and I want to hear it.
I mean, I don't really know. No one really knows, but there were a lot of headsets before the Quest. There wasn't just PSVR. There was like the Windows headset. JayBratt used to have like one of your like profile pictures or something, I think used to be like you holding like 5 different headsets. There were like several in the game before Meta got into it. So I don't necessarily think it would have died. Like there were other companies that were in on it, and Meta just killed the competition. I feel like we're talking about how competition's important. Like, yeah, the big companies are getting in, which is good, I guess, but there were other companies that were getting into it, and maybe that actually cared about VR instead of just caring about like, oh, we got to get everyone in the world in a headset so we can steal all their data. Like, I don't know. Like maybe it would have died. Maybe it wasn't big enough companies. Maybe it, like JayBratt was saying, like, you know, not everyone was buying them. But I don't know. I guess I'm kind of thinking too about like not just the, you know, companies and buying and selling headsets, blah, 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 but like the quality that it used to be. And maybe quality is better when these big companies aren't in on it because all they care about is profit, which makes sense. I mean, it's a company, but like maybe the smaller companies actually were passionate and cared about what they were making.
It's a really good point. And from my perspective, I was only looking at it from Quest and beyond because I didn't have those other headsets. So really solid point.
Yeah.
Okay, JayBratt, get in on this.
Well, that's what I wonder. I feel like obviously if Quest hadn't entered, there wouldn't be 20 million or plus headsets in the world. There just wouldn't. But would there be 4 million headsets that are all still way too expensive, but were all really good?
Yeah.
I felt like the biggest barrier to VR was not the cost, it was the freaking wire. I can't tell you how many people freaked out about a stupid little wire and wouldn't buy a headset because of it. I would love to have, you know, a set of goggles from Rick and Morty where I can look into an alternate universe and see what happens. It probably would have faded a little bit, but I think that I would still be playing. I think all of us here would still be doing VR. It would just look very different. And none of our friends would own VR headsets because the Quest never was so cheap that everybody bought one.
But then it would be so fun because we get to be like, hey, everybody, come over for a VR party.
Do you ever miss that? Do you ever miss that, GT? I miss being the guy that had it.
Yeah.
You know, it was so cool to just show everybody.
Yeah, I was very lucky when I worked for another company. I demoed VR to like, not well, I was there, but 27,000 an event that had 27,000 people in it. We had 5 VR games in 5 booths, and we were right by the entrance. It was primed, and the biggest thing I got from that was like there was a lot of kids there and a lot of adults, but the adults that come over to play the VR were, one, they didn't know what a Quest was, and they didn't understand how it was working without a wire, which is what reminded me what you just said, Jay. And then they were like, well, the last headset I had was Valve Index, and I played Half-Life Alyx, and then I sold it. That was the majority of the adults. That's all they did, you know. And I think I'd say to them, I was like, oh, did you try any other games? And they're like, yeah, but nothing was really as good as that. And that is true, you know. 2017, I think it came out. It's pretty insane that even today it's still a fantastic
We're
VR
still
experience.
talking about it. 6 years
We're still
later.
talking about it. Yeah,
wild. It's a good and a bad thing at the same time. We shouldn't be talking about it. There should have been other things, but yeah.
And now the most two things. For all of us that do content creation, we're the people that can't wait to show it to someone that's never tried VR. Like how excited do you get for someone else to try VR? Like you kind of put yourself in their mind of how their mind's going to be blown.
It's very refreshing. If you ever, because I think content creation is quite lonely. Like it feels quite lonely sometimes when you and you forget the magic of VR because you're in it so much sometimes. And
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but it is true. I think. But yeah, when you put someone in it who's never been in it before, like a friend, you're like, oh, I remember that feeling. Like, yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
I've never had any other product in my life that I felt like showing everybody I know. There's nothing.
The only other thing I can think of that is kind of like it is freaking Tesla owners, man.
That's true. Yeah, my friend actually brought his Tesla around my house and made it dance in the bloody drive, and then he drove it on his phone like a remote control car, and I was like, that's just a 75,000 pound fucking toy. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. It was incredible.
Well, it's definitely something, unfortunately, we don't have the alternate reality viewer to see what happened, but we'd love to hear from all you out there. Comments section, hit us up on Discord. What do you think? Do you think Meta saved it, brought it to the forefront, heard it? I loved the shooting it and then resuscitating it example that came up.
Assassin's got all the great quotes in this episode.
That was hilarious. But GT, do you have any final remarks, any thoughts here that have come up that you want to add in?
No. I just hope people don't feel too down about everything. I see so much negativity. I do actually like going on Reddit, and it's good to see in there that there are certain people who are getting also fed up with the people who are like, this is fantastic, but also the people who are like, this is terrible. And they're like, get over yourself, man. Like, I think it was safe to complain about VR when it felt like it was a complete success. Or, even though it never has really been. But I would just say, stay positive. I think we've got years ahead of us, and I don't think it's going anywhere. That's the thing. I think with Google, Samsung, like so many people are in this game. I do think PlayStation have come back again, to be honest. I think they do enjoy being seen as part of the tech industry like they are, not just gaming, and it is gaming, but I think they like that. Because they've got another headset as well, haven't they? Like
like
actual
enterprise, thousands and thousands. Yeah.
So they know they're good at it. PSVR is good. I think we're in a weird storm in a teacup phase at the moment, and I think we're going to get out of it eventually, hopefully.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
So what do you guys think about coming back in a couple of weeks and doing another episode about what Meta can do to save VR?
To make it better, I think bring it out.
It's possible. I mean,
yeah, let's talk about solution.
Yeah, let's do a super positive version next time.
I don't know. I mean, I think 2 weeks. What? I guess we can just fantasize. Yeah, I guess so.
If I want to do it on my channel, but if you guys want to get together and do it with the 4 of us again, I would love to do it.
Yeah.
I'm down. I feel like obviously holding out a little closer. I want to see if anything sneaks up on us with Kinect. It's not supposed to, but I mean, look at the Ray-Bans now. The ones that are supposed to have a screen in them this year. That's because of VR. This all led to that. So even if eventually glasses like that are what happened, we still were part of it. Okay. VR did not fail.
If you've got Snapchat anywhere near you, you should go and demo their AR glasses. They're actually really good. Like the field of view's low horizontally, but it's the first time I saw it and I was like, I can see this. I can see this actually working. Yeah. And I've never thought that before. So yeah, and again, if Snapchat are doing that, they're very aware what Meta are doing, you know, with Orion and so yeah.
And if it wasn't for Gear VR, PSVR, the Palmer Lucky, we might not have the spectacles too. I got to try them too. And like you said, it's still not perfect, but it's like this hologram actually works. This is like the closest we've been.
I tried to explain the difference between mixed reality and augmented reality. And for me, seeing mixed reality, you see the real world through a camera, in a headset through a camera. But augmented reality, it seems like you just see it. There's nothing in the way, And I think that changes how it feels when it feels like it's more in your world than mixed reality does, And that's what I think.
It's more real. Well, feels more real. If somehow you're listening to this episode and you had not met Gamertag before today, you know him now. You got to go find him, follow him. Seriously, some of the best and most real reviews you're going to find. I think you're the only guy that's meaner to stuff than I am at this point.
I'm not mean. Everyone thinks I'm mean.
So honest. So honest.
Well, it's not honest. I don't know what it is. I just say what I feel, and it's. I mean, with like Midnight Walk this week, it was people are saying it's game of the year, and I praised the shit out of that game. Like but unfortunately for me, just me, it didn't grip me. You know, like I didn't get the story was nice, but there was one day I completely forgot I was reviewing it. You know, and that does not happen to me very often. If I'm reviewing a game, I'm in that game and I'm doing everything I can to enjoy it, soak it up, get the review done. And there was a day I was doing something else and I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be playing this game. And, you know, and I can't escape that, you know, for all the brilliance it does, it just wasn't the game. It wasn't a game for me that I would say everyone rush out and buy. So yeah, you know, but the good thing about that is on my channel, no one's really called me out for that. They've all just gone, great review. You know, no one's really gone, I can't believe you said not to buy it. You know, I was like, wait for a sale. That's why I put it in that bracket. And yet, I think only Rota VR were the only people that actually kind of said exactly what I said. Everyone else has been like, this is the best game, one of the best games I've ever played. And that's fantastic. Like everyone, that's the thing. Everyone's got to have different opinions. And my opinion just seems to be, I don't know what my opinion is. People think it's some sort of either, like you just said, brutal. I guess I've been brutal in the past. I think, yeah, I have. I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah. I have. I try and be constructive.
One of my favorite Gamertag reviews is probably about a year ago, and you had reviewed a game, don't remember which one it was, but in the review, you basically said, look, I can spend the entire day editing a video for a piece of crap game, or I can go spend the day with my daughter. So here's my review. Don't buy the game. Goodbye.
Wow.
I mean, it was a 5-minute version of that, but I loved it because why should you spend your entire day editing something if the game company doesn't care enough to put out a good game?
Yeah, and they probably spent more time trying to market it and make everyone think it was great, and then probably paid people to say it was great when in all reality it just wasn't. So yeah, I'd hate to know what game that was, and I'm glad you don't remember.
I don't remember. And on the same note, I'll also say with JayBratt, there's times where I've seen him review a product and I know that he has a relationship with the manufacturer, and there's a ton of incentive to say nice things about it, and he's like, no, I just can't do it.
Yeah, good for you.
Don't buy this.
That's why people come back.
Which is why you two are some of the only people I actually still subscribe to. I've kind of drifted off from most other people.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. It's cool. It's brilliant. Like we're very lucky, I guess, to be doing what we're doing. And same as you, Assassin. You know, like I love your setup, by the way. I think that's so cool.
Fun.
I love your barbecue sauce in the back. I think
yes,
quality.
I think the barbecue sauce has been in every video I've done except one because it fell over and I didn't notice till I was done filming. I was so pissed.
It's just one of those moments that you just never forget. There's Mark Zuckerberg talking about, and you're like, why is there a fucking why is Sweet Baby Ray's in the background? It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's like,
there's some random stuff back there. If people check it out, there's some stuff. If you look, there's some fun stuff in there.
That is so cool, dude. It's so cool.
Same with GT's background. If you're listening to this one, this is one to go over to YouTube and watch. See all the cool, crazy retro, the lights. You got a good looking backdrop there. I like it.
My head always covers my Optimus Prime, though.
No, that's the pride right there in the middle.
You can just talk to it, and it drives around, and
it's like a Tesla.
It's a mini Tesla, but luckily no one tries to throw paint on it and scratch it.
Has it ever caught fire on its own?
No. That's crazy.
Well, GT, you are an inspiration. I was watching you back when I had a PSVR before I had a channel. I'm so excited we finally got you on here. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
Oh, cheers. Well, I didn't know that. You never told me that before. Yeah.
I know. Cool. Well, I try not to gas you guys up too much because, like, the first time I met a bunch of you guys, the first thing Fox did was tell Wolf all these great things about how he'd watch Wolf forever. And then Wolf spent the whole weekend just being so full of himself that I was like, okay. Wolf even said, he's like, man, Fox got me so gassed up. I can't stop thinking about myself.
That's so funny.
So I gotta be careful. I gotta tell the guys a little bit at a time. I can't just pump them up like that. But
yeah, I'm so glad I've never felt like that. That'd be so weird. Like I just feel so important and special today. Like, that was so weird. Yeah. Thank you again for inviting me, though. I really appreciate it. And it's lovely to talk to all of you.
yeah,
it was great
This has
having you
been
on.
so nice.
refreshing and fun. And if you're out there and you need more refreshing and fun, go check out GT's channel. Remember, we're here for you with the podcast. We got the YouTube channel. You can see us all laughing at each other and talking about each other's setups, or you can go listen to us anywhere. We're on Audible, I guess, which is kind of a big deal. We didn't even know that. But thank you. Yeah, now we're going to feel important about ourselves too.
Good.
But hey, if you're out there and you've been thinking about VR, you're listening to us and you still haven't gotten a headset somehow, it's time. Just go.
Dive on in.